Well, these are something very special indeed. Some of the very first pieces of silver that I ever made, and they've managed to find their way back to me. So today, let's have a good close look at some really old school pieces that I made, talk about where it all started, how it all began, and a little bit of how it's going now here today. Let's dive in and have a look at cool bits of silver. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for this week's In Focus Friday, the show where we take a good close look at cool things made of silver or gold. Now, I've been on YouTube about 8 years, and I did the maths. There've probably been about 360 episodes of In Focus Friday where I've showcased very cool things made of silver and gold. But not once within that tenure have I done an episode devoted to my own poured silver. I don't particularly like that vanity, but also I've got other video types that I do on my channel showcasing them, so I never thought it was really required. However, a subscriber of mine has sent me through 2 bits of poured silver that he snagged off eBay that are very old, from some of the very first batches of silver that I poured at all. And these are really special and incredible to come back to me. So a huge thank you to that subscriber who've gifted these to me with the provision that we'll give them away at some point on our channel. And I did say to him, well, the next real big milestone that I want to celebrate is 75,000, and then there'll be a massive giveaway at 100,000. So it might be a little while, but he was absolutely fine with that. And I think for old pieces like this, especially this 1.72 ounce bar, and I can tell this is a super old piece, not only because I found the photograph of it that I took when I made it, and it was within that first batch, but also it doesn't have the BYB stamp that the other one does, and this one has a little serial number too. So really old, really old piece. This would have been from, well, it was from the first batch of silver that I made using the tabletop furnace for the first time. And it's the same batch of silver that I would have used to pour this star, which is what I kept from that batch. Now, originally, I actually made all of these bits of poured silver to sell. For those that don't know, I wanted this to be a self-sustaining hobby. I was inspired by the likes of Hi-Ho Silver and Mr. Zeke over on YouTube, and I was just transfixed with their creations and how they were doing things. And so I decided to give it a go, and said to Mrs. Backyard Bullion, I think this could be quite fun, and it could be a bit of a nice sustaining hobby as well. She raised numerous eyebrows at me, but nevertheless I put some of them up for sale, and the incredible community jumped on things and bought them. So it rolled up, and it rolled up further and further into what it is today, the YouTube channel and the poured silver business. So it's quite interesting to really have that retrospective and look back upon where we've come from. I think that's really nice to see. So I wanted to also share just a few of my reasons why I got into this kind of stuff in the first place, how it all started. So I originally was looking to get some nice, I've always loved coins. I've collected coins from my grandfather. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you may have heard me mention it. But I wanted to get some nice coins for a godson of mine, and I'm not massively religious, so the traditional role of a godfather to teach their godchildren about religion, not really that for me. So I decided something that was a fun hobby that could be collectible would be nice. That's the kind of person I am. So I looked at coins, and I looked at Royal Mint coins and getting like an annual coin set or a Britannia every year or something. And then I stumbled across some coin review videos on YouTube, and I fell down that rabbit hole. Oh, I fell hard down that rabbit hole. That's when I found the likes of Hi-Ho Silver, Mr. Zeke, and others. Losing Louis was there, watching their pouring videos, seeing how it was done. And so I gave it a go. I wanted to make something nice for my godson, which I ended up doing. And it was really an incredible thing to do, but took a lot of trial and error, let me tell you. I was struggling on the first time because I had no idea about all of this stuff. So I just got a little blowtorch off Amazon. It was a creme brulee blowtorch, laugh all you want. It was barely hot enough to melt about 1/3 of an ounce of silver, so I sat there for 20 minutes with this blowtorch. Of course, the longer it's on, the weaker it gets because less gas goes through it, and it just wasn't getting anywhere. Though I had like an ounce of silver in this little crucible. Didn't work, and I was like, this is really frustrating. YouTube says it should work, blah, 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 blah. I remember jumping out to the local Home Depot store, I guess you would call it in America. It was like B&Q or something here in the UK. Got a slightly stronger blowtorch. Managed to get about an ounce blob done. It was awful. I didn't keep it. And at that point I was really dejected because I was like, I really wanted this to work. So I had a look around, and then I saw Hi-Ho Silver had got a little tabletop furnace. So I then looked around what the options were, and I got a little tabletop furnace from a supplier here in the UK, gave it a go, and it worked so well. Like, it worked so much better than the other little crucible and blowtorch that I was using. So this would have been one of those first pieces that I made in that batch. I think actually it was the same day. I did like 2 pouring cycles in that one day. I did one in the morning, one in the afternoon, because I was hooked. And I seem to remember from memory, I did the bars in the morning, and I did like I did something like 8 bars, something like that in the morning. And this was one of the better ones because it actually filled the mold somewhat. You know, it's not perfect. The crucible only held like 1.9 ounces of silver, and it wasn't easy to do and to pour. And then I remember what I remember doing is in the afternoon I got a big chunk of wood, and I cut a hole in that wood with my jigsaw and made a star shape. This and one other bit of silver I made into a star shape. And I then poured directly onto a big granite slab. Probably a bit silly in retrospect. That granite slab could have cracked and just completely exploded in my face, but it was a very smooth one and I thought it'd be all right. And poured it around the wood so it sort of filled the star shape. And I got this piece, and this was like the best piece of the bunch, really. It's got some imperfections in the middle, but I kept it nevertheless. 1.95 ounces Troy. Got all my stamps out and ready, my 909 fine silver and everything. And yeah, so I stamped everything up, and it was perfect. This is now, as you may recognize, my little YouTube logo. So this is the one that I kept from that original day of silver pouring, but the others I put up for sale. I wanted it to be a bullion selling operation right from the very get-go. Self-sustaining hobby, basically. That was the goal, and it's of course grown way more than that. And then a few weeks later, after those first bits have sold, I'd re-rolled in that money that came back in and bought some more silver, and I'd decided to have a stamp commissioned, BYB here. And so I then decided to, and part of this was of course YouTube as well, so I videoed every single bit of silver that was poured. I think somewhere I should have this piece being poured as it's number 29, so I'm going to dig out that clip and I'll insert it here. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? To look back and see how far I've come, not only in silver pouring, but YouTube as well, and video editing and all of that. So yeah, that's pretty cool and pretty special. And I remember seeing this piece and thinking, it looks so beautiful. There's incredible patterns and ripples in it. Look at that. You know, in retrospect, this is not something I would probably keep now. It's pretty in its own right, but I have come a long way in my own craft. And you know, you can only just look at the new, modern, beautiful 100-gram bars that we do with these incredible lines. It's very, very different to how it was. And yeah, it is interesting to look at the sort of the past and see how things have evolved. And it's important to never forget where you came from. You know, and this was born out of a particular period in my life where I was looking for a new outreach, something different. For those that perhaps don't know, I'd left a sort of regular employed job, and I was working for myself at that time, doing a different career entirely. Well, sort of same career, but different approach entirely. Instead of working for someone else, working for myself. And I was trying to fill my weeks with work, but there wasn't as much as I was hoping to get. And so I had the time to fill with this hobby, and it really spoke to me, and it was an interesting period of life. It really did. I think it helped me. It got me through some of these really difficult periods, and that I'll never forget. And you know, I can't ask for more in terms of my life right now. I'm very, very fortunate to be doing something I love. And when you do something that you love, it does not turn into a job ever. And so very, very lucky. And that's all down to some pieces like this that got me started. And you know, I look back at them and I think, well, if I made these right now and put them up for sale, would anybody even buy them? I think people would probably buy these, you know, as collector pieces, as some of the origin pieces from me, but I'm not putting these up for sale. The subscriber of mine sent them to me with the proviso that we'd give them away at some point, and that's exactly what we'll do. He'll know, he knows that, sorry, it is not going to be for a little while. We're going to do them at nice milestones. So 75,000. I would think I'm going to do this one at 75,000 subscribers because this one is one of the slightly more recent ones. I say slightly more, about a month younger. And then this, as well as plenty of other bits of silver at the 100,000 mark. Really cool pieces. So thank you to my subscriber for sending those through, and a trip down memory lane. It was really, really nice to see. And you know, I haven't. It's why I don't like doing these types of things, because it's, you know, the vanity of it. I am essentially plugging and singing my own praises here today by looking at my own bits of poured silver. But I've also got out on the table our 10th ounce gold bars. Again, a sort of mark of how far we've come as a producer of precious metal products. So, you know, to have hallmarked gold is pretty cool, and to have them in these incredible little assay cards, that's the word I was looking for, is also very, very cool indeed. So if you want to support our channel and see more of what we do and help us get all the way up to that 75,000k mark, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, comment on this video if you're one of my ramblers, thank you very much. And if you want to go a step further and support our channel in a financial kind of way, which I know some people like to do, then the best way of doing it is by buying our bits of poured silver or gold. You know, we've got some stuff in stock right now. We've got our ammonites, which are stunningly beautiful. I mean, you look at the skill progression here over the last 6-7 years, and I'm very proud of how different my work is now from how it was at the beginning. So yeah, you know, if you want to if you want to support the channel in a further way than just subscribing and watching, liking, commenting and subscribing, then you can through on our website, backyardbullion.com. Links are in the description below. But don't feel like you have to. Honestly, that is not the reason I make these videos, and that's why I didn't start the video by going, go over to my website and buy. I'd much rather just showcase what things are all about. That's it from me. A huge thank you to you all for watching. We'll see you on the next video. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.